This ID expired 10 years ago. That's your retirement card, Grandpa. That's what the officer said, laughing, as he held up the worn military badge. The old man said nothing, just watched silent. But when he made one quiet phone call from the corner bench, everything changed. Because the number he dialed didn't ring a local contact, it rang a red line at the Pentagon. And suddenly, those who mocked him realized. Some IDs expire, others become legend. Tuesday mornings at the Riverside County DMV rarely offered surprises. They followed a rhythm so precise it might as well have been scripted. Fluorescent lights buzzing faintly overhead, the tinny chime of number counters every few minutes, and a waiting room thick with silent grievances. People waited, always. Teenagers hunched over phones, their thumbs moving faster than their thoughts. Parents tried and failed to soothe crying toddlers. Office workers tapped their feet, stealing glances at their watches, praying their number would be called before their lunch break disappeared. Nothing changed. Nothing ever did. Until today. Q127. Window 6. The voice rang out, flat and robotic. Another number called. Another citizen shuffled forward. From the far end of the waiting room, an elderly man stood slowly. His movements were not stiff, but deliberate, each step a measured echo of discipline long practiced. Unlike others in the crowd who wore jeans, t-shirts, or whatever comfort dictated, he was dressed with precision. A dark navy coat, cleanly pressed, khaki trousers with a crisp crease, polished shoes. His silver hair combed perfectly, parted in a way few men under 60 remembered how to do. There was no arrogance in his manner, but something about him demanded notice, though most didn't yet realize why. He approached the counter. "Good morning," he said quietly. His voice was calm even. "I need to renew my identification." Melissa Chen, the clerk on the other side of the glass, looked up briefly. She was new to the job, just 3 months in, and already bore the dull glaze of someone who had seen too many expired licenses, heard too many excuses, and explained the same protocol 100 times. "License or state ID?" she asked without interest. "Neither." He reached into his coat and produced something unexpected, a worn, faded card, not plastic. It looked more like parchment, reinforced with laminate and lined with symbols and seals Melissa didn't recognize. The photo was black and white. The expiration date had passed, 10 years ago. Melissa blinked. "Sir, this ID expired in 2012. "I understand," he replied. "I'm here to renew it." There was something in his voice. Not defiance, not pleading, just fact. Melissa hesitated. This wasn't covered in her training. Military IDs were rare enough, but this one looked unlike anything she'd seen, even in her security briefings. She motioned to her supervisor. Carlos Delgado came over, peered at the card, frowned. He signaled to Officer Mark Reeves, the DMV's security guard, a former rent-a-cop turned government staffer who took his role far more seriously than necessary. "Everything all right?" Reeves asked. "This gentleman's presenting an expired military ID. Looks weird." Reeves took the card, turned it in his fingers, smirked. "This a joke?" he said, loud enough for people nearby to hear. "Looks like something you'd get in a cereal box. Retirement card, Grandpa?" There was a chuckle from someone waiting. Melissa cracked a grin. "The old man?" He didn't flinch. He simply said, "It's real, and I'd like it renewed." Reeves laughed again. "Sure, Santa. Maybe take it to the VA or Photoshop a newer one at home." He passed the ID back dismissively. The old man took it, carefully, as if handling a relic. He gave a polite nod and walked away, not with shame, but with the same calm purpose that brought him there. He sat on a hard plastic bench against the wall, reached into his coat, pulled out an old flip phone, the kind no one used anymore, and a small folded slip of paper. 12 digits written in ink faded by time. No name, no area code. He dialed. The phone rang once. Pentagon switchboard, clearance code? Her voice was smooth, untraceable. He answered. 6 digits, 4 letters. Transferring? No questions, no identification request, just the soft click of a secure transfer. He hung up and waited. Back at window 6, life continued. Numbers called, clerks typed, people laughed. Officer Reeves leaned casually near the desk. Bet he forged it to get a senior discount. More laughter. Melissa glanced at the card image she'd secretly snapped with her phone and began typing up a Reddit post. Entitled Boomer Tries Fake Military ID at DMV Gets Shut Down. She cropped the photo, careful not to show his face, uploaded it, and smiled. 10 minutes passed, then 15. Then the administrative line in the back office, usually silent, rang. Brenda Wallace, the DMV's regional director, answered it. What followed was a 3-minute conversation she never disclosed to anyone. But when she hung up, her face was pale. She moved like someone whose life had just been rewritten in a paragraph. She exited her office at a near run. You. And you. She pointed to Reeves and Melissa. My office, now. The room went still. Even the overhead speakers seemed to pause. Then, outside, a black SUV pulled up. Government plates. 2 men in dark suits stepped out. Identical suits, identical expressions. One older, one younger, both adjusting earpieces. Inside, the older man scanned the room, spotted the elderly man on the bench, and approached. Colonel Vance, sir. His tone was respectful. We received your call. The old man didn't rise, just looked up. Didn't make one, he replied. Just reminded someone I'm still breathing. Inside Brenda's office, muffled voices. Classified. Authorization level. Top clearance. Slipped through thin walls. Officer Reeves stepped out moments later. His face was drained. He looked like he'd aged a decade in 5 minutes. Sir, he said, approaching Colonel Vance. I didn't know who you were. Exactly, Vance said calmly. You didn't. The 2 suited agents returned, one holding a leather folder. We've brought fast-track renewal documentation, apology from the Department of Defense, and an official escort order, sir. Vance didn't even look at the folder, just gave a quiet nod. Then Brenda re-emerged, face flushed, posture stiff. Colonel Vance, we've cleared my personal office. We can take care of your renewal immediately, in private. He looked at the screen above the counters. Number 142 is next. I'm 151. I'll wait. Brenda blinked. But after what happened was a misunderstanding, Vance replied. I've had worse. There was a faint chuckle. Not from joy, from memory. The kind of memory built in places where mistakes had deadlier consequences than disrespect. For 47 minutes, Colonel Vance waited. When his number was called, he approached window 4, not the private office, and handed his forms to a trembling young clerk. The agents flanked him discreetly. Whispers filled the room. Phones were raised. Screens captured blurry glimpses of what was happening, but none understood its full weight. As he turned to leave, Vance paused by Reeves. Officer? Reeves straightened. Yes, sir? Vance held up the renewed ID. Next time you see this badge, stand, or step aside. No threat, just truth. Then he walked to the exit, but before he left, he turned one last time. That ID you laughed at? He said to the room. It was issued at Camp Perry in 1984. The signatures on it? You've never heard their names, not because they didn't matter, but because they mattered too much to be remembered. Silence. Even the crying babies were quiet. I carried that ID into 7 nations that denied I was ever there. Fought in 3 wars no one will ever read about. When it expired in 2012, I was operating in a place where being an American was a death sentence. He adjusted his coat, straightened it with unconscious precision. Respect isn't about recognition. It's about remembering that some of the most important work is done by people you'll never know, carrying identification you'll never understand. He walked out, and the SUV door closed behind him. The story exploded by morning. A mother had filmed the final speech, uploaded it to TikTok, then to YouTube. It went viral. They laughed at his expired ID. Then the Pentagon called. Veterans recognized the ID, not the details, but the shape, the markings, the tone. That badge doesn't go to regular soldiers, one former Marine wrote. Even generals avoid those ghosts. By noon, Officer Reeves had resigned. Melissa was reassigned to county records, permanently. Brenda implemented mandatory training, respecting what you don't understand. Colonel Vance never commented, never surfaced again. Journalists tried to find him. They all hit walls. But at the DMV, something changed. That bench? No one sat on it anymore. Not because it was labeled, because everyone remembered. 6 months later, an elderly woman came in with a strange ID. The clerk didn't ask questions. She was processed with care and privacy. No one took a photo. No one made a post. Some service doesn't require verification. If Colonel Vance ever returned, no one said a word. Or maybe they did, and simply nodded, then looked away. Because some IDs might expire on paper, but the respect behind them, that never does.